What's up, guys? I saw that the devs put out a video for the future of Throne and Liberty. I started watching it on my own, and he started spitting some good shit. So I thought I'd just record a video and just react to the rest of what he's saying because it's really good. This might actually save the game. Let's get right into it.
Welcome to Tico Talks Throne and Liberty. My name's Tico, and I'm the Globalization Design Manager at Amazon Games for Throne and Liberty. And I'm here to give you some updates on the game and a little peek at what's coming soon. I've been spending a ton of time in the game, having a blast with all of you, and now that we just released our Haunted Harvest Halloween update, I'm even more excited. I hope everyone has had a chance to check out the event. The limited time Haunted Labyrinth Dungeon is so fun,
Yeah,
and
that
I
was
love
fun.
seeing all the clever things people are doing with their outfits to get in the festive mood.
This was a really fun event.
Let's talk a bit about how things have been going and what we're planning in the coming months. First, I want to give a huge thank you to the millions of players that have joined us so far on this journey. We wanted to make sure that crossplay was enabled from day one, and it's been awesome to see that investment pay off.
Yeah, the crossplay is actually huge. I think Final Fantasy 16 is the top MMO that uses crossplay. I think maybe the what is it? Elder Scrolls might have it as well, but no one plays Elder Scrolls, so.
This great community has grown so quickly in this first month, and we're just getting started. Of course, any game launch of this magnitude has lots of craziness that comes with it. We've been in constant contact with NCSoft to address player feedback, and we hope you've seen some of that in the last few weeks. So let's talk more about how we're moving forward. Let's start with a topic we all hate and every MMO deals with: bots. The battle
This is
against
dub.
bots is well underway, and I want to tell you a bit about what we're doing to attack bots on multiple fronts. First, we're continuing to improve our detection algorithms and are now running those daily to ban bots as quickly as possible.
We'll see.
Second, we're attacking the areas in which bots can operate and continuing to look for ways to make it difficult for bots to do business. But we want to do that while minimizing the impact to
Music kind of loud, don't you think?
real
Pico?
player experience. We have some plans related to the auction house to impose protections to limit bots' impact there. We will share more on that once we are able, but can't reveal too much detail that could be used to circumvent our safeguards. Third, we're actively actioning players who engage in RMT behavior.
Okay.
Participating in RMT negatively impacts several aspects of the game, including empowering bot activity, compromising
This is pretty much standard stuff. It's a constant battle against bots and RMT in any game, any MMO. So I mean, this is good to hear.
the hard work of players who follow the rules, and more. We will continue to action players with more severe punishments as appropriate, including negative loose imbalances, full auction house lockouts, suspensions, and bans, as we have zero tolerance for this type of behavior. The next thing I want to talk to you about is world bosses, which are garnering a lot of
All right, here we go. Y'all listen up. Y'all neckbeards in the back, listen up.
discussion in the community, so I want to take some time to discuss that. First, let's talk about loot drops. Many of you have been feeling that world bosses have often left you feeling disappointed because you don't feel there's a meaningful chance to acquire gear during these events. To improve this, we're going to do two things.
So I'm not the only one who shared in the sentiment that getting these drops was absolutely kind of fucked in both conflict and peacetime events. So let's see what they're gonna do.
First, we're going to increase the number of portals that appear for peace mode bosses. The portals will be generated based on player counts, but on average, I would expect you to see at least one more portal per boss.
Wait, one more portal? How does that change anything? I've never had a problem getting into a portal. Even when it's full, you can still go in.
This should help spread players out across more fights, giving more opportunities to acquire drops. The second thing is we're introducing a new chest drop that has a chance to be included in your participation reward after the boss dies. This chest will allow you to select one of any of the epic items the boss can drop, which we hope will also give players the agency of choosing a reward that's most relevant
That's
to them.
huge.
All items
That's huge. So you can literally tag the boss now and then get a chance to get the chest to select the items that he drops. Because at the point, right now, if you don't have a guild that top DPSs, you're just not getting a drop. You're just like all the boss weapons, all the boss equipment. It's not even in your build path because there's no way you're getting it.
from
But now you can get it from a chest.
this chest will be untradeable.
Oh, untradeable too. See, that's how you do it.
though the non-weapon items can be lithographed if the player chooses. Players can expect both of these changes to be live following our maintenance on October 31st. We've also been paying attention to the impact
That's huge. That is dub. Big dub right there.
that the Eclipse skill is having on Peace Mode bosses occurring within Abyss dungeons.
Hey, this is for you neckbeards out there too. You meat riding PvPers.
We think that this is disrupting the expected flow of gameplay for individuals attempting to participate in Peace Mode bosses, which are meant to be a PvP-free experience for those players.
For those who don't know, the top guild or whatever the hell can actually turn a peacetime dungeon boss into a conflict, murder everybody there, and then prevent people from going into the boss portal to get the drops. Even though the intent was for it to be peacetime, they can force a conflict with the Eclipse mechanic. So that's what he's talking about here.
So we're making an adjustment so that when Peace Mode bosses spawn in dungeons, there will be an additional new portal outside the dungeon that will take players directly to the safe zone inside the dungeon. This way they can enter the Peace Mode boss as expected without passing through areas that may have turned into a conflict zone due to the Eclipse skill. This change is expected to go live in mid-November.
Also huge. Also goes to show you that denying everybody loot is not the main part. It might be the main part in Korea, because that's just how they roll, and that's why no one plays this shit in Korea, bro. When you have a game design that's centered around griefing, people aren't going to play, man. So this is another W change.
The Eclipse skill itself will continue to change the dungeon into conflict mode, as always. Finally, for bosses, there's been talk about how contribution works in relation to the loot drops. Later this week, we will be releasing an article that defines and describes how loot distribution works across all content types. But I want to briefly touch on this specifically for Conflict World bosses. With the recent change locking boss loot to the original owner for 10 minutes, some guilds have been wondering what the value of PvP is in these events. The spirit of the Conflict World boss is that guilds are fighting to control the area.
So people were complaining that even though we killed the loot owner, why does he still get to walk up and collect his loot? Can you believe that? Can you believe people are so petty? They're so obsessed with denying players loot that they're complaining. They're asking why can this guy collect his loot that he earned even though we killed him for 10 minutes? And he's about to explain the intent of PvP world bosses now.
To allow their guild to damage the boss and raise their contribution, thus increasing their chances to get better loot. In addition to increasing your own contribution though, you can also decrease other guilds' contribution. In conflict mode, you do this by killing players from rival guilds, which will reduce that player's contribution by 70% each death. So reducing another guild's contribution increases your relative contribution. So it's a major factor in determining the loot that can drop for you. We are working on introducing some contextual UI indicators of contribution amounts, and we hope that this will help guilds be more strategic about which opponents to focus their attacks on. Moving on from world bosses, I want to talk about co-op dungeons. We have made 3 recent changes to matchmaking for dungeons.
This stuff's pretty standard. We already know about the last patch notes. It's a very good change. Encourages randoms, gives you more rewards. Very, very good change.
To help with queue experiences, we introduced a new option to queue for a random dungeon when using party matchmaking, and we made a change to better match players based on their combat power, to better align group capability.
Oh shoot, better actual gear power matchmaking is huge. So you could click random or regular party matchmaking and get people around your gear score, so you don't have to worry about explaining mechanics to new people if your gear score is like 3,000. That's actually huge. That's really smart, actually.
To help with completion rates, we increased the damage and HP buff when queuing through matchmaking to be 10%, up from 5%. All of these changes went live on October 17th. Then, in order to improve the rate in which players can acquire their desired gear, we made another change following the Haunted Harvest Halloween update that provides a bonus reward when queuing for random dungeons.
Yeah, we know about that.
Each successful random dungeon completion will reward 1 additional dimensional soul shard, and will also have a chance at a larger reward.
The funny thing is people are abusing this by just canceling the queue. So they'll click random, then it'll show you what dungeon you're going to, and they'll just click cancel the queue because that's not the dungeon they want. Kind of takes the point of random dungeon queuing out, right? If you know where you're going, you can just manipulate it to run the same dungeon that you want and then get extra rewards for it. It's whatever. I mean, it's not really hurting anybody, so they'll probably fix it again in the future.
Of one-dimensional essence. We hope that these changes have had a meaningful impact to your experience with co-op dungeons. We're going to keep monitoring the data, we're going to keep listening to player feedback, and we'll continue to tweak if needed. All right, let's talk now about some major systems that players may already be familiar with because of their time playing on the Korean service. In particular, I want to talk about two systems, Substance Transformation and the Rune system. And I want to be very clear here. Neither of these systems will launch in our service with their current functionality.
Got him! Because it doesn't work. We launch what works.
We're working closely with NCSoft to make updates, and both systems will be improved in a way that will satisfy both Korean and global users. While not all changes are finalized, here are some things I can say for now. For the Rune system, it will have at a minimum the following adjustments. First, Rune slot unlocking will no longer require RNG to obtain your desired slot
I didn't play the Korean version, so I have no idea what he's talking about here.
type. Second, we're introducing a separate Rune bag with improved searching capabilities to reduce the burden on your traditional inventory and storage, while also making it easier to find your desired runes. For Substance Transformation, it will at a minimum be changed so that tradable items cannot be used in the system. This means you cannot infinitely buy items from the auction house to feed the system to earn rewards. Since the amount of items that can be fed may be decreased because of this, we're evaluating the requirements of how much has to be fed into the system to gain rewards. Although we don't have any specific changes related to trait resonance at this time, this system is not planned to release in the near future, and we are still actively discussing any potential adjustments for this system with NCSoft prior to its release. While we're on the topic of upcoming systems, I want to talk about a growing desire from our players to have the ability to engage in more structured PvP.
Oh, that's crazy. You mean that whole thing I brought up in my last video is actually valid and not just whining and complaining? And there's statistics that back it? Like the current state of affairs in all other MMORPGs and how competitive PvP with gear stats isn't a fucking thing? That's crazy, bro.
Outside of the competitive large-scale options currently available in the open world events and conquest battles. I'm happy to say this is something we've had on our radar for a while, and we're excited to bring you a new feature that will come in mid-November that will provide on-demand battle feature. I don't want to reveal too much yet, but this will allow players to engage in non-competitive PvP across arenas and conquest battles, with varying numbers of teams and team sizes.
Did you hear that? Non-competitive. Do you know what that means? Non-competitive means no gear. It's straight, it's flat, it's equal on all sides. This is going to be what saves this game. So you can take a break for 2 months, for 1 month. You can come back and you can enjoy PvP. You can play against other players without needing to have the best gear in the game. This is going to save the game. I'm telling you right now.
Both in public and private matches. So stay tuned for more updates about that in the coming weeks.
Huge W, man.
There's been so much
Huge.
great feedback from everyone in the community, both positive comments and suggestions for how to improve the game. Thank you. We're
No,
really
thank you,
grateful
bro.
that you are all this invested in helping us continue to improve the game. We're just getting started, and this week on October 31st, our first player survey will open. You will be able to access it from the Silesium notice board in-game, and I want to really encourage you to take it. We take the results very seriously, and real actions have spawned from all of our previous surveys. We're always listening to your feedback, whether it's through the surveys, reading your reviews on the major gaming platforms, or comments in Discord and social media.
Huge W.
We're always using your voice to help guide our development
They really don't want this to turn into another new world, bro.
and using it to improve the overall Throne and Liberty experience. So please keep the feedback coming.
We're Lost Ark.
All right, that brings us to the community question. What we'd really like to know is, what would you like to see changed in Throne and Liberty?
That's it. All right. So huge dub all around. They're listening. They're fixing the toxic gameplay loop that is going to kill this game. Very good. Um, I mean, that's if they keep doing this, this game will stay alive because the PVE is fun. If you can cater to both in a nice, like equal manner, I think this game will have some longevity. There's no reason why we have an arena mode that uses gear. There's no reason for that. Every other aspect of PvP in this game takes into account your gear score and everything on your gear. That's fine. But we should also have a PvP area that doesn't take into account your gear. It's the only thing that makes sense, honestly. Keep everything else the same, whatever. Because then players just have the options of not engaging in that content. But the way it is right now, you don't even want to touch PvP unless you have the most meta stats, hit chance and evasion, pretty much. But this was a dub. This is amazing. Thanks for tuning in. Let's see what else they have in the future.